Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Oxidation numbers are very important for this course. You really need to know how to determine the oxidation number. So we would like to know what is the oxidation number of the transition metal in these salts. So here we have cobalt nitrate and we have iron sulfate and another form of iron sulfate. So the question is, what is the oxidation number of the cobalt and the iron in these salts? Now the problem is that we have two unknowns. We have, say, the cobalt, which is a transition metal. We don't know the oxidation state. It can have various oxidation states. And we have nitrogen, which can also have various oxidation states. Oxygen, in this case, we can take as -2. So in this salt, this cobalt nitrate, we have two elements with unknown oxidation states, the cobalt and the nitrogen. So now we need to use this polyatomic anions charge to solve this mystery, and that is what this video is about. So to solve this problem of oxidation numbers of two unknowns, we need to know the charge of some common polyatomic ions. So this is an example from your first year chemistry textbook, McMurray and Fay, and you really need to memorize this. So for instance, ammonium is a cationic polyatomic ion, and it's got a charge of +1. Here we have hydroxide, it's got a charge of -1. Here we have nitrite, this polyatomic anion has got a charge of -1. Nitrate has got a charge of -1. And for instance, sulfite here, it's got a charge of -2. And phosphate has got a charge of -3. So since we know the charge of this polyatomic anion, this nitrate, we now know it's -1, that charge, we can solve to find out what is the oxidation state of the cobalt. So now in this cobalt nitrate we have two elements, cobalt and nitrogen, which have unknown oxidation states. But now we know the nitrate has got a charge of -1, so we can solve it. So X is the unknown, that's your cobalt, and it's 2 times the nitrate, 2 times -1. This whole salt is neutral, it's got no charge, so therefore it is equal to 0. So now we can solve for X, and the oxidation state of the cobalt is +2. So let's look at another example. Here we have iron sulfate. So once again we have two elements which is unknown, the iron and the sulfur. We don't know their oxidation states. They can have various oxidation states. So now we have to use our knowledge of this polyatomic anion. We know this sulfate has got a charge of -2. So now we can solve the oxidation state for the iron. So the iron is the unknown. We know the sulfate has got a charge of -2, so -2. The iron sulfate is neutral, so that's why it's equal to 0. So now we can solve for X, and the oxidation state of iron is +2. Okay, let's look at another example. This one is slightly more difficult because we now have 2 ions and 3 of this polyatomic anions. But once again, we have 2 elements with unknown oxidation states, the iron as well as the sulfur. So now, once again, we are going to use our knowledge of the charge of this polyatomic anion to solve the problem. So now we have 2 ions, so that's why it's 2x. And we have 3 of this polyatomic ions, so that's why it's 3 times -2. That -2 is a charge on your polyatomic anion. This whole salt, this iron sulfate, is neutral, so that's why it's equal to 0. So now we can solve for X. And X is equal to +3. So the oxidation state of this ion is +3.